All right, so the very first thing I want to do is review of the basic Straumann implants and sizes, if you remember. So Straumann sells two basic types of implants. What are they?
Bone level, tissue level.
Under bone level, there are two what I would call restorative platforms. What are they?
Regular neck.
Close.
Narrow.
Narrow what?
Function.
Narrow CrossFit, yes. Narrow CrossFit
Regular.
and regular CrossFit. What are the two restorative platforms for tissue level?
Regular neck, wide neck.
Yes. Regular neck. wide neck. What are the colors for NC and RC? Gold
And purple.
and purple, yes. I would say yellow and purple. I don't know if you remember, but the colors for regular neck and wide neck are all silver. Okay. So bone level, tissue level, NC and RC, and regular neck and wide neck. And today we're going to finish out this flow chart with the decision tree, the decisions that you have to make in order to order impression parts, which is primarily what you guys are going to be doing. Okay. Do you remember the surgical sizes? Surgical diameters of our implants.
3.3, 4.1, 4.8.
Yes, that stuck. 3.3, 4.1, and 4.8. Do you remember the lengths?
8, 10, 12.
Evens, 8, 10, 12, 14. We actually have a 6. Okay. If you have a tissue level implant, where is the length measured from?
From the part that's in the bone.
From the collar down, not from the above.
From, do you mean from here?
Yeah.
Yes. So the length on a tissue level implant is measured from where the rough surface is. So kind of from right here down. So surgically, when you're looking at how much bone you have in a site, you're looking to make a decision about diameter and length. And know with the tissue level, the length is from the bottom of the collar down, just the rough surface. Okay. Do you remember what the difference is between S and SP? Hunter.
Standard is 2.8, standard plus is 1.8 millimeters.
Yes, excellent. So standard plus is the short collar type. It's 1.8 millimeters. You will almost always, if you are ordering an implant, you're almost always ordering a short SP. Remember, it doesn't make any sense. Standard plus you would think would be taller, it's shorter. Hi. Bone level implants.
Can you just also review again, when
Yes.
are we going to want to order the standard? Or are we almost always just going to want to order standard plus?
You are never going to want to order a standard.
Okay.
But when you, or if you're looking at a box with an implant on it, it doesn't say tissue level. Like it actually, what it says, if I was to be really accurate, it says SP on it. Okay. So you need, sometimes if you have to grab a box with an implant, you need to know that SP is always going to be the designation for tissue level. And you see that in the surgical kit also. Right. Our bone level implants are platform switched. What does that mean?
The diameter of the implant is wider than the diameter of the abutment.
Yes, the diameter of the implant is wider than the diameter of the abutment. So the abutment would be about here. Does anyone remember what the offset is? You don't have to know it. It's 0.4 millimeters horizontal and 0.4 millimeters vertical. So Straumann actually has a little bevel here. So you have a vertical and a horizontal offset with a platform switched implant with Straumann. Why is that important? Silence. My first silence.
Biological width.
Yes. Who said it? Ryan. Biologic width. So what is biologic width?
You need to have 2 millimeters between the junction between the abutment and the implant.
Yes, the body requires about 2 millimeters between the junction, I would say the microgap, where the abutment and the implant connect, and the bone. Or what happens?
Bone loss.
Bone loss. Right, so in the old days, if you had bone and you had your implant and your abutment connected, right here was your microgap, you lose bone down to about the first thread, right? That's the urban myth with implants, right? You always lose bone down to the first thread. And that is because the body demands about 2 millimeters of space for soft tissue, epithelial connection. So the bone level implant, they found out through research, and we talked about this last time, if you have a horizontal shift, which is a little different than just this vertical space, you will also preserve your bone here. Do I need to kind of go over it all again, or is it coming back? Okay. If you have a tissue level implant, do you have bone loss in general?
No.
Why? It's not platform shifted.
The microgap is 1.8 millimeters above the bone.
Yes, Brock. The microgap is up here. So here is our abutment, actually is internal with this implant. And your crown margin is going to be right here on the bevel. So your microgap or your connection is raised up above the surface of the bone. All right? So with a tissue level implant, what are your two collars?
Regular.
Yes, it's not a trick. And we have really good bone maintenance because we've raised up our microgap. With a bone level implant, we do not have a raised platform, but we have a platform shift instead, which protects the bone. Okay? So these are the two styles of implants that Straumann offers. Why, oh why, would you use a tissue level implant?
Simplicity.
Simplicity. Yes. Can you talk about that more? No yet.
You don't have to do stage 2 surgery to uncover it
Yes.
later on, so it's faster to restore it all. And it's immediately conditions the tissue at the time of surgery instead of having to do an additional healing abutment stage.
Yes. Although with the bone level, you can put an immediate healing abutment on.
Oh, you could.
Yes. But all of those things are correct. Yeah. What other reason would you use tissue level?
Easier impression.
I'm sorry?
Easier impression
Easier impression, because why?
because it's above the tissue or at the level of the tissue.
It's higher. It's easier to get to. Yes, a lot of people like the tissue level because it's very accessible. A bone level, if you have a lot of soft tissue, you're working down in a deep dark hole. And today I'm going to show you the impression parts. And so they're both very simple. But this is extremely accessible, very easy to get to, especially in the posterior. We also have an abutment called the solid abutment, which we're going to talk about today, and we actually will get to play with the parts. And it's very affordable. Last time, all of my residency lectures are getting a little blurred. Did we talk about lab pricing and the variability in the lab market? No. Okay, so we can talk a little bit about that today if you're interested in CAD/CAM and digital and kind of how pricing is structured on the restorative end. There is a stock abutment with the tissue level implant that you order, and it's like basically the same price every time, and then you just order a crown from the lab, and it controls your costs in a very simple way. And as soon as you get into private practice, cost is going to become extremely important. Yeah. Okay. Do you remember what the Morris taper is?
taper on the inside that distributes the forces more evenly through the abutment into the implant?
Yes, exactly. So the Morse taper, we have a 15-degree taper on the bone level, an 8-degree taper on the tissue level. So all these forces that come into the crown get distributed down into the osseo-integrated implant. So the threads of the screw do not take the load. Only 9% of the load is taken by the connection, 91% is actually taken by the integrated implant. So all of our implants have a conical connection or a Morse taper connection, and when you torque it, what happens? Because we're going to be doing, today is all torquing, all abutments. Yes, it kind of cold wells, that the sides of that taper, when you torque it to 35, it will cold weld together. Yeah. Questions? No? Okay, take a break. Your hand must be